The following program was provided by an independent producer solely responsible for its content. The opinions expressed do not necessarily represent the views of this station, its staff, board of directors, or underwriters.
Hello, I'm Carl Seidel, host of The People's View, sponsored by the Nashua City Republican Committee. And if you want, we meet at the Crown Plaza the second Thursday of every month. And if you want to find out more information, you can go to our website at nashuagop.org.
Welcome to The People's View.
Hello, and help me welcome back Don LeBrun. Don, thank you for
Carl,
coming.
always good to be here with you.
As a legislator and an alderman, you're a busy man.
A little bit. My schedule's kind of full.
Okay, well, tell us something about why you decided to run again and what you're doing, because you're now vice chair of the HHS committee, right?
Right. I decided to run again and to continue the work that I've been doing for the last 6 years. In my opinion, one of the most important things to people is health care. Mm-hmm. Children get sick, a husband gets sick, a wife gets sick, can't work, whatnot. You can wipe out a family's savings in no time at all. So everything that I do is involved in health care. I serve on 18 different committees. They're all related to health care. It's everything from child hunger to suicide prevention, PTSD, TBI, marijuana. Everything you can imagine to do with health care, I'm involved in. And I want to continue that because I think we've made a lot of gains in the last 6 years, and I think we have a lot of promise going forward.
But you still have a lot of problems also.
We still have a lot of problems, yes. You know, health care, the health situation is like a big umbrella. It's got 8,000 different fingers. It all comes up the shaft and branches out. And every one of those branches have to be dealt with. It's a never-ending thing. You've got nurses giving home care to elderly people to keep them in their home. We're paying them $8, $9, $10 an hour. You can't keep them at that rate. No. It's not a living wage. Yeah. They're homeowners as well. So and
that's really some of the best economically best work we can have done. Is
Absolutely.
These people doing it at home.
Absolutely. It keeps the people in their home. It saves the state money. It saves the individual money. And we've got to pay these people enough that they can take care of their family as well. Otherwise, they have to go out and try to find another job, paying more money. Right. Even if it's not in their field, it's all about
the income.
The income so that they can support their family. And you and I would do the same thing.
Well, we gave them a lot in the last budget. We gave a lot of extra money to HHS. Are they distributing it properly, or I've heard some tales about it just still is not being addressing the problems that
there's still a lot of money on the table. There's, I think, $3.5 million still on the table for the developmental disability wait list. The wait list is growing. We gave them a total, I think, of $10.5 million to try to decrease the wait list and try to serve those people that are on the wait list. Instead, the wait list has increased. It's going from 166 to 188.
And what's the reason behind that?
The reason is HHS has not appropriated the money to the agencies that handle that.
Oh, I see. So these are outside agencies. It's not that their service, direct service, isn't.
No, it's not direct service. It's outside agencies.
So it's just distributing the funds that have been approved since last July.
last July. That's absolutely right.
That's kind of sad story.
It is a sad story, and we hear that all the time with different agencies. They have money left over, and that money has to be put back into the general fund. It lapses. Yeah. They cannot carry it over to the next year. So a new amount has to be appropriated, and if they don't spend all of that, it goes back in the general fund. It's a crazy system.
It's even worse, I guess. It must be something that they're doing or not doing that delays these agencies from getting the funds that they need to accomplish the work that we as legislators thought they'd get to right away.
Well, the complaint all the time from DHHS is we don't have the staff to properly administer it and things like that. We need more money. Our computer systems are not up to date. We need new computers and new systems. You know, they've got the same excuses all the time. You've seen the audit, the HHS audit.
Yeah, there's things on there that 3-4 years.
3-4 years, there's 8 and 10 years.
Oh, really? I didn't know. It was that way.
Recommendations that were made to rectify a situation, and then at the bottom it says nothing's been done.
Well, they have a new head now since January, right?
Commissioner Jeffrey Myers.
Right.
Yeah.
Now, has he done anything to improve the service?
He started out like a ball of fire,
Yeah.
probably like everyone does. He's slowed down quite a bit. Things have hit snags on him and whatnot. He claimed he was going to be transparent and on top of everything, and there's a lot of things that are just bogged down.
So it's a bureaucracy that's holding him up.
It is the bureaucracy.
Okay,
Yes.
and he can't do anything about it. Is there
The only thing we can do is just keep the pressure on.
But is there something that we can get more middle management or some people that are going to do the projects and get them out on time?
You mean as far as staffing?
Yeah.
Yeah, we have, like with DCYF, they had the same problem. They claimed they didn't have enough staff. We appropriated staff for them. We appropriated new computers for them. It hasn't been implemented.
I know
We're still without care, without service over the weekend for child abuse.
No.
We have no coverage whatsoever from 4:30 on Friday afternoon until 8:30 on Monday morning. And if that happens, the report doesn't get to the police department until a day later, which would be Tuesday morning. So you've got basically 4 days there that nobody is doing anything about a problem.
Oh, that seems pathetic, I guess is the only word I can think of.
That was our reason for appropriating the staff and the computer systems.
Right.
Another thing that was happening, the caseworkers was doing everything with pencil and paper.
Yeah.
And they'd go back to the office
And then
and put it into the computer. So we got them new computers so when they go on a case, they've got the computer with them. They put it in a computer. It's in the computer in the main system.
Yeah.
And it's all done. But it hasn't been implemented.
Huh?
It hasn't been implemented because they put out an RFP and no one answered the RFP to administer the program.
Oh, no kidding.
They got absolutely no responses from vendors.
Must have been something wrong with that.
I asked the director what Plan B was, and she looked at me astonished. And she said, "We don't have a Plan B. I'll have to go back to the department and we'll talk about it and see what Plan B is." Now,
This is not run very well.
I'm not the brightest bulb in the pack, but I know that if I have Plan A,
Yeah.
I at least
You
have
have
a
a
partial Plan B
Yeah.
in case Plan A doesn't work.
Yeah, yeah,
But
definitely.
they don't seem to work that way.
Have they actually come up with how much they spent last year yet?
No.
Now, that was a deadline of September, right?
September 1st was the deadline. At the last meeting, I questioned her about that, and she said that they would be getting the report out before the end of September.
Well, that missed.
Here we are, 12th day of October.
And it's
Still
still
no
isn't
report.
there. Have they improved the system of keeping track of their money? I mean, what I understand is it's supposed to be a spreadsheet. So you're looking at your budget, which is the amount, and if it's encumbered, there should be a line saying it's encumbered, and then when it's spent, you know what's spent,
Right.
whether it's up, above, or below,
Right.
and that that should be right away.
They're not doing that very well. That's all I can say. They're not doing it very well. Like you said, it's a simple spreadsheet. This is what you've got. This is what you've spent. This
Yeah.
is what's left.
Right.
It's really that simple.
Uh-huh.
Throughout government, throughout the Department of Health and Human Services, I find that they have so many little departments that don't want to communicate with each other.
They don't want to.
No, they don't want to, because they don't want one department to know what the other one's doing, because in fact what's happening is they're overlapping.
Aha.
So they don't want each other to know that they're overlapping and doing
Otherwise,
the same
somebody
thing.
get their
Job
cut.
security.
Yeah. Oh gosh. Somebody's got to go in there and clean house, or maybe let's divide up. How about dividing up that big monster? It takes 45% of our budget.
47%.
47%. All right.
47%.
That's even worse.
And very soon maybe 50%. That's the largest part of the state's budget, and that's why I really want to continue in that system.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because I want to delve as deep as I possibly can into this and find out what we can do. I know I've told you before, I can see where you can take 30% of DHHS right off the top, not the bottom. Those people are doing their job. Take it right off the top and save 30% of their budget.
Just reorganize the whole thing and do away with
Just
a lot
reorganize
of the top
They have
guys who aren't doing their job, really.
They have a supervisor for a supervisor for a supervisor for a supervisor, and none of them are supervising.
Well, Don, remember back in 2011 and 12 when we had Rules and Regulations and Business Review Committee? Maybe we need something like that on just business, running an enterprise business or something. You know, we did some things with Department of Justice at that time.
Yeah.
Their call center is an excellent thing. They're doing it with half the staff now and less than half the money.
Yeah.
And they're getting a better job done. We have to go in there and say, look, you're not going to.
I don't want you to think we haven't progressed at all with DHHS. We have made some inroads in certain areas. The problem is we haven't made the inroads that we need to make at the top of the ladder. And that's where so much of the waste is.
So we
We're
have to
paying
get a
exorbitant
government.
salaries to people who are supervising a supervisor.
Yeah.
You know, I don't need
Well,
that
that's-
many supervisors.
You know, keeping track of the money, it's not just your department. I heard the Department of Safety did a little thing in their budget
Yeah.
that they screwed up on $700,000.
They
the
absolutely did.
whole-
And it's within every department. It's not only HHS. The problem is that HHS is so large.
Yeah.
You know, these other departments may have 5, 6, 7% of the budget. 47% in one department. That's where you have to focus on changing
Yeah.
it.
Oh yeah, definitely.
You know.
Have you heard of the governor thinking of doing anything? Because I think she keeps her hands off of everything.
The governor is part of the problem.
Yeah.
You know, I tell everybody, Maggie Hassan is a nice lady.
Yes.
She really is a nice lady. But she does some things that just don't make any sense whatsoever. She has held on to money that she could have dispensed to different departments. She's just held on to it and refuses to answer for it.
Really?
She's supposed to give quarterly reports that she refuses to give. She just absolutely refuses. Plus the fact that she's been campaigning so hard, she hasn't even been in the state. She doesn't know at this time what's going on in the state. And she's trying to take credit for a budget that she vetoed.
Oh yeah.
And we
that really gets
overturned
it.
her veto.
That's right.
And she's trying to take credit for having passed the budget.
And because of her veto, they delayed in getting the funds for 3 months.
3 months,
they
that's
needed.
absolutely right. Nothing was done for 3 months. And then she turns around and tries to take credit for it.
I don't know how she could say that to the to the audience.
She says it all the time.
Yeah.
Every time they interview her, the budget comes up and she says it. You know, it's just one of those things that she refuses to deny. You know.
Oh, Don, I don't know. Well, I hope you get there and you know, really keep on applying the pressure, because
I
we
do
have
too.
to do that across the whole administration, because I think that there's a lot of money going to waste, not being used.
Absolutely.
Uh,
I think I've done a good job for the people of Ward 5 and the people in New Hampshire. You know, with health issues, it's not about just your constituents. A lot of people like to say, well, I've got to do what my constituents want. With healthcare, it's not that way. We're one big state, one small state, but we have to take care of that problem, health-related problems, throughout the state. for the majority of the people. And we have to do everything possible to see that people have affordable health care available to them.
I agree with you there. They have to have a nice way of getting effective. I see things, I wouldn't say drugstores, but they're affiliated sometimes with the drugstores where doctors have an emergency care type of operation.
Yeah.
And that should
The
take
walk-in
care,
clinics.
yeah, that should take
Yeah.
care of most of the emergencies, unless it's somebody who's really needs a team of doctors to take care of them.
But everything is so bogged down with paperwork and
Yeah.
restrictions. I mean, whatever happened, they said that when we went to computer systems, we wouldn't have a paper problem anymore. We have more paper now
You got to
than
sign
ever
more
before.
forms as you go in. It's
You
terrible.
do. You've got to sign your life away before they'll even look at you.
And they won't even keep your paper on file or something.
No,
you should.
no.
Oh yeah, you got the paper already signed. How many times do you have to sign it? Every time.
Every time. I went to get a flu shot last week.
Oh yeah.
I signed 4 papers to get a flu shot. I should have gone to the drugstore. I'd have signed probably 1 paper, and the pharmacist would have given me the shot.
Yeah, I don't know where you get it, because I didn't have to sign anything for my flu shot.
I went to the National Medical Group, and I had to sign
yeah?
4 papers.
No kidding.
Absolutely.
Oh well, Don, you're also involved in other things outside of health care, aren't you? You get a few other things that you
I am.
have on your plate.
I'm involved in emergency management, which really is. We have one of the best emergency management systems
Really?
in the country. We really do. They come in, we speak to them, we ask them, what can we do to help you to make your system better? Nothing right now. We're in good shape.
Oh, great.
And we took a tour of the facility, and everything is, it just runs smoothly. It's really, really a good system, and everything is up to date and modern. They're on top of what's going on. They can answer emergencies and handle emergencies really with, just a few flips of a button or something. They're on top of it. I'm also involved in condominium associations. We have a lot of problems in the state with condominium,
Really?
with property management.
There's a lot of, yes, I've had the experience of some of the property management people aren't worth a beans.
I don't know a single person that I talk to about that issue that hasn't had problems.
Yeah.
And they're well-founded problems. We've proven that. There's almost 700 condominium associations in this state.
Oh, really?
Almost 700.
Yeah.
And probably 150 of those 700 have all sorts of problems where contractors have walked out on a job, or the property owner, the developer, has walked out and left them high and dry.
Or
I hear that all the time.
Or sometimes there's a little kickback business going on too.
I'm sure there's some of that too.
That happened with one of the places I lived in,
Yeah.
and you just wonder about, why can't we get these? There are some good property management companies,
Yeah.
but not all of them, unfortunately.
Well, that's why I say there's 700, and
Yeah.
there's maybe 150 that have really serious problems. Some of them have small problems, and it's nothing to rectify the problem. It's just superficial things. But we have one right here in Ward 5 that the developer has walked out. The streets are all torn up, falling
Really?
apart, and everything else, and it goes on the property owners. Whereas the developer was supposed to take care of that.
Yeah.
But he has disappeared, walked out on it, whatever.
Oh, really? Oh, gosh. There's no comeback? He has no bond or anything like that?
Apparently not at this point.
Oh, boy. How is the medical being handled in our prisons, our county and state prisons? Have you been in there?
You're talking about the SPU at the prison, at the state prison, where they take the mentally challenged
Yeah.
who have not been convicted of a crime. They take them to the prison, and they have a special unit there.
Well, that's one of the
special
issues, but
psychiatric
also
unit.
the need for the increased prices of drugs and everything that they have for whatever sickness they have.
You know, the drug companies don't talk to me. They refuse to talk to me. They won't even say good morning to me. I have been after the drug companies for 6 years, and little by little, we're working out systems to hold them accountable for what they're doing with the price gouging. And that's what it is price gouging. You know, they know people need the drugs.
Yeah.
They can charge anything they want. It's just like the EpiPen deal with Mylan. And that's what drugs are all about. It's how much can you get out of a person who needs that drug. And, you know,
It's a
that's what we're
difficult
dealing
thing to
with. We're coming
price.
up with systems to keep track of all the companies, make it competitive, so that there is some competitive.
That's right, yeah.
You know, without competition, if you have one company setting the prices, they can charge anything they want. But if they have a competitor charging 30 or 40, 50% less, then they've got to rethink what they're doing. And that's what we're trying to do.
It's also when you have a one-payer system, too.
That's right.
There's no competition
Right.
in there. Well, yeah, and the computer should be able to help them out. They should be able to, you know, get the pricing and work it not only with this state, but the adjacent states.
There's a gentleman who lives right here in Ward 5, lives over in Ledgewood Hills, who is got a grant from the federal government to work on a system to keep track of the pricing, keep track of the amount of drugs, keep track of the, what do they call it, the CPU codes that the insurance companies use, to simplify that. And my point has always been, if you can go to Burlington Coat and buy a coat and buy it with your charge card, you get the bill, it says you went to Burlington Coat and you bought a coat and this is how much it cost. Why can't the same thing happen with doctors, insurance companies, hospitals? Why did they have to
The
use...
insurance companies probably have it, but they're not going to share it.
Yeah, right. Why do they have to use a 15-digit code that no one can understand and no one has access to? So we have a system being devised now where the CPU codes will be advertised and a person can go on a website and see what that code means. You don't have to call the doctor, and the doctor refuses sometime to tell you what this code means. And in a lot of cases, it's because you're being charged twice.
Well, that's something I didn't know about.
Absolutely.
Oh, boy.
Absolutely.
I don't, because if the doctor doesn't give me any questions, I'll go to another doctor. It doesn't answer my questions. You know, it gives me false information or something like that. I guess I'm pretty lucky. I haven't had any troubles with doctors, even though...
But we hear all the time about people that have.
And it's the people who can't
And they're the
really
people
help
that
themselves.
matter. It's the ones that are having those problems.
Yeah.
You know, if you and I aren't having the problem, then we don't have to address anything.
That's right.
But those people that are continually having problems, and it's usually people that need the care the most, and they just feel like they're lost, like there's no place to go to find out the answer to their questions.
Well, yeah, it's hard. You have to ask the right questions. They probably don't even know what to ask.
In some cases, that's true. That's true.
And it is tough that way.
But another thing I want to talk about, we're working on child hunger.
Oh, yeah.
Which is really something that I'm really into. It's unbelievable how many children, and I'm not talking babies, I'm talking children all the way up to 18 years old, till they supposedly become adults, who are in need of a good meal, who are on the free and reduced food programs at school and whatnot.
Yeah.
The schools actually have pantries now. On a weekend, they're giving these kids food to take home with them to make it through the weekend. This is America.
Yeah.
This isn't Russia or Kuwait or Iran or whatever.
Yeah.
This is America. We shouldn't have that.
You're right.
We're feeding other countries, and we're not feeding our own people.
What's holding it up? Why does it have to go through the school? Is that just the easy way of getting it?
It's a federal program, the free and reduced lunch program, whereas the kids who are in need of a free or
I understand
lunch,
what it is, but it's going through the school. Isn't there a way to go right to the home and handle it that way?
There probably is, but I think this is way to make sure that it's being done. The kids are getting their meals in school. We know they're getting their meals. They're getting food to take home with them on a weekend. We know that they have something to tide them over on the weekend. I'm not sure that going to the home itself is the answer. I think the way it's being done is probably better. But 44,000 kids in this
Yeah.
state are on this program. That's
It's
totally
ridiculous,
unbelievable.
yeah.
It sickens me when I hear some of the statistics and what's happening in this country with people going hungry. It makes no sense whatsoever, Carl.
But I guess what confuses me is I thought we had other services that were supposed to be taking care of it through the family. I mean, all these other things, welfare type of support, aren't they working, or nobody keeping track of
I
them?
mean, we have like soup kitchens and food pantries. Churches have food pantries and
Well,
whatnot.
that's something
All that
outside
stuff.
of the federal. Is this
Right.
federal program, though, is what I'm saying, is they support so many other things. Like
We have SNAP, uh, which is Supplemental Nutritional
Right.
something program. We have CHAD. We have TANF, things like that. These are all programs where people can get help. But for the most part, those programs are financial aid. And that doesn't really address the child that goes to school without a meal and is expected to learn something during the day when they're sitting there hungry,
No,
which would be the case.
I understand your reasoning for giving it to the school, because there you're sure the child is getting something.
Right.
But what I'm saying is, are the other services that's coming through to the parent, who's supposed to be able to support the food to the child, if they're not using their funds in the proper way, do people know that? I mean, you shouldn't.
It's almost impossible to keep
to-
track of that. You know,
Really?
you can give, you don't know what's going on in the home for the most part.
Mm.
You don't know what they're doing with the money. You know, we have a huge drug problem. It could
Well,
be
that's what I was thinking
it
of.
could be
yeah.
used for that. I mean, I'm not saying it is. It could be alcohol. It could just be that there's other things in the family that are needed in order to try to have a functional family, that they have to cut back on food or something. There may just not be enough money to go around. There are so many reasons. You know, I could probably think of 1,000 reasons why that may be happening, why we can't keep track of what's happening to that money.
And there's no way that we can eliminate some of those reasons. I'm just wondering whether there's rampant fraud going on.
No, there is not.
Well, fraud from being not using the funds or whatever assets they're getting for what they're supposed to be used for, feeding the family and taking care of their
Okay.
medical needs.
Take
or
the
whatever.
EBT cards.
You know?
We have proven without a doubt that the fraud with the EBT cards is less than 2%. Less than 2%. It costs $3,200 to prosecute a case of fraud. And in most cases, the fraud is less than $100.
Okay.
So
well,
why spend $3,200
no, I understand
to
what you're
recoup
saying there.
100?
But are they analyzing everything properly? I mean, what we have is an octopus giving out money.
That umbrella I talked about with
Oh,
the
umbrella.
8,000 fingers.
All right.
Yeah.
And I just wonder if you know, there's a little bit here, a little bit there. Pretty soon you're talking about $1 billion. I remember that 60-minute show that showed how the medical reimbursement in Florida was being abused. And as far as I know, it's still being abused, because I haven't seen anything after it. And they were saying that, yeah, it's only 2%. Well, I don't know if that's even right, but 2% of billion-dollar programs is a lot of money.
In the state of New Hampshire, HHS reported that in 2015, they recouped $12,000 cost over $100,000 to recoup that $12,000. And that's when they decided that some of these cases were just not worth going after with what it cost to recoup that money. I think what I know of this system, New Hampshire is in probably better shape than almost anywhere in the country when it comes to EBT card fraud.
Okay. Well,
We're doing a really good job here.
Okay. Well, let's hope that it's working out that way. But Don, we've run out of time.
Well, wait a minute now. I need another 5 minutes.
All right. All right. We'll give it to you. We'll stretch
Okay.
it out.
I just want to tell the people of Ward 5, my constituents, that I feel that I have worked 100% of the time for this community. Haven't always been right. I haven't always pleased everyone. But I have done my best to please the majority. And that's, to me, that's all I can do, is hopefully please the majority. If that majority is 90% of the people, all well and good. If it's 51% of the people, I'm still doing my job. I work at it every single day, probably 17 hours a day, doing nothing but work that I'm supposed to be doing for my constituents.
Well, I can vouch for you, Don.
Absolutely. I know you can. A
You
lot of people
sit next to me.
a lot of people can. And I just feel like I've got to continue this work, and the only way that I can continue it legislatively is if these people will go to the polls on November 8th and vote for me. Don LeBrun, Ward 5, Republican. That means nothing. That Republican means nothing. As you know, I'm probably as middle of the line as anybody because I care about people, not parties. The party does not tell me what to do. It doesn't tell me how to act or how to vote or anything else. In the end, when I push the button, it's what I believe is best for the people of New Hampshire.
I can vouch for that, too.
Okay. Very good.
With the discussions that we've had just before a vote.
Yeah.
Well, thank you very much again for coming, and good luck on your election.
Thank you, Carl. I appreciate it very much. Always good to see you.
Thank you.
The preceding program was provided by an independent producer solely responsible for its content. The opinions expressed do not necessarily represent the views of this station, its staff, board of directors, or underwriters.